Hi everyone and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm Lisa Curcio. I'm going to be using the Sale-A-Bration stamp set called Hello Cupcake. This is a free stamp set offered during Stampin' Up's largest sale of the year. I'll give you a peek into that sale item and the brochure in just a few minutes. But the card that I'm creating is not a cupcake at all. We're going to make this adorable ice cream cone using the cupcake top from that stamp set. If you're here visiting from YouTube, you'll be able to find the pictures, the cutting dimensions, and the supplies for today's project down in the video description below. And while you're here, I would love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you don't miss any of the things that I've got coming up. Make sure you click on the bell icon next to the subscribe button so that you'll receive notifications of when those new videos are uploaded, as well as when I'm live here on YouTube. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's project. Here's a close-up of the card we're going to be creating today. Isn't this ice cream cone adorable? I've brought in my Stampin' trimmers because we're going to do some cutting on a piece of 4 1/4 by 4 inch Whisper White cardstock. This is going to give us that decorative edge here on the front of the card. Make sure that you're holding the cardstock where the 4 inch dimension is going across so it'll fit on the front of the card. I'm going to open up my paper trimmer, and I'm going to just mention first of all that the light blade is for scoring. We're not going to need that today, so I'm going to navigate that out of the way. The dark blade down here is for cutting, and that's what we're going to use. I'm going to make sure that my lower tip is inside the cutting strip here on my trimmer. Then I'm going to navigate the top edge over to the third line here, which is the 1 inch mark here on the trimmer. What I'll do now is I'll pivot the bottom to make sure that it's in the track, and then I'll pivot the top to make sure that it's aligned here at the 1 inch mark. I'll lower the cutting arm, and then with the dark blade, I'll just slice. And that's going to give us our front panel. I've got a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock here, and I'm going to be using the Hello Cupcake stamp set. This set is absolutely free with any $50 product purchase between now and the end of March 31st, 2019. You're going to find it here on page 6 of the Sale-A-Bration brochure. 11 of the 13 products in this book are completely free with a $50 product purchase before shipping and tax. And of course, you can choose which one you'd like. And for those of you with a larger wish list, we even have several products available that are free with a $100 order. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in receiving a complimentary copy of the current occasions catalog and or the annual catalog, leave me a comment below and I'll be certain to include a copy of the sale brochure as well. I'm going to be using 3 different color inks. My first is Poppy Parade. I'm going to go ahead and now ink that up, and on my scrap paper I'll go ahead and I'll stamp 1 here. Next, I have Granny Apple Green. And then finally, I have Mango Melody. Again, I've cleaned the stamp. On my original card, you're going to see that I used iridescent sequins here for the sprinkles. But I want to change this up, and I want to show you another image that's inside that exact same stamp set. These are the little sprinkles for the top, and I know that my green is going to be my top on my card. So I'm going to bring back my Poppy Parade ink pad again, and I'm going to stamp those sprinkles right here. There is no die for the stamp set, so I'm going to go ahead and take my paper snips, and I'm just going to cut these out. And I want to give you a little tip about cutting. Leave a little bit of white cardstock around your image. It'll help not to distort the image, because I don't know about you, but I can't cut perfectly, so this will just make it easier. Now that we have the tops finished, I want to work on the cone itself. I'm bringing my paper trimmer back in, and this piece of cardstock is 1 1/2 inches wide. So the center is at 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to line that up here at the bottom at 3/4 of an inch. The little ledge here at the bottom is wonderful for keeping your cardstock straight. In addition to that, there are printed lines here as well. This ledge is at the bottom as well as at the top of your trimmer. To make it easier for you, take a pencil and make a mark here. We're going to do very much like we've done with the panel that we just cut for the front. So this edge here at the top, this tip is going to be inside the cutting track. My pencil mark is going to be at the very bottom so that we're going to cut on an angle. I'll go ahead and I'll lower the arm, and then I'm going to slice. I'm going to do the exact same thing now on the other side, but you're going to notice how I turned it to make it easier for my hand. So my pencil mark is right here in the track, And then I'm going to navigate this one as well inside the track. And then I'll lower the arm and then I'll slice. And that'll give us the cone. I thought that cone needed a little bit of texture to make it look more real, so I'm using the Tufted Dynamic Embossing Folder. You're going to notice that this folder is a lot thicker than most of the embossing folders because it's meant to leave a dynamic impression in the cardstock. I've got my Big Shot here with the Big Shot platform. We're not going to need a clear mat on the bottom like we typically do because of the depth of this embossing folder. I'll go ahead and I'll place my cardstock inside. And we'll fold that up. We'll place that here on the platform, and I will put a clear mat over the top though to protect it, and then we'll just crank that through. That's going to leave us with a great impression for our ice cream cone. The base of my card has been cut 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I've scored it in half just before you joined me in the video, and I'll go ahead and fold that. I'm a fan of my bone folder for that nice crisp edge on my card. And do you remember this angled piece that we cut? I'm simply going to hold it over the top right now for placement. And that pencil that we've used on the cone, we're going to use one more time. I found this to be the easiest way so that you don't have to guess where the sentiment is going to be stamped. So I'm going to make a very light pencil mark right here along that edge. And I know, again, it's going to be difficult to see in the video. I'll be using my Memento ink, and I've pulled out the greeting from that stamp set that says Celebrate Your Day. Now go ahead and I'll ink that up, and right along that pencil line, I'm going to stamp the greeting. So I'll come in here and I'll just use that eraser just along that edge. You're not going to see anything above that. And it's probably not going to be too visible because we are going to mount that layer with dimensionals. So I'll flip this over. And I've got my dimensionals here, and I'm going to be generous with these because I want to make sure that this panel is not going to sag once it's been mailed. Back here at the card base, I'm going to center this, leaving a border of white all the way around. And then we'll just tack that in place. On my original card, I had stamped my greeting a lot lower, which will allow me to build the ice cream cone here, but I didn't do that on this one. So I'm going to build it on this side. I love giving you an alternative. I've brought in my silicone craft sheet. I absolutely love to use this in my stamp studio. Adhesive will not stick to it. It'll simply rub right off. It's great with liquid glue and hot glue as well. They will rub right off of here. You don't have to worry about marring your work surface and getting it sticky and then fighting that sticky spot while you're creating. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add some dimensionals near the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and place one here. That's going to fit. And before I go too far, I'm going to look and see how this is going to fall. From here up, which is about the halfway point, this is going to be fairly flat. So I'm going to use adhesive on this portion here. So I'll go ahead and just place a little adhesive here near the top. I'll take off the paper backing to that one. And then I'm going to work towards the bottom, allowing myself enough room at the top to build the ice cream cone. I'm going to start with the one that I stamped in Poppy Parade. I'm going to flip that one over as well, and I'm going to add some dimensionals. And then I'll add that here to the top of my cone. Next is the Mango Melody. I'm not going to add dimensionals here at the bottom since there's already elevation there, but I'm going to add one here at the top. Again, just like we did with the cone, I'm going to add adhesive here. I want to make sure that the whole cone is symmetrical as far as depth is concerned. And then you can go ahead and tip this if you'd like, just to give this a little bit of visual interest. And then lastly, we have the Granny Apple Green layer that's going to go here. And again, I'll add one dimensional near the top. And then I'll add adhesive near the bottom. And then I'll place that one here. A very simple card, isn't it? So here's the one we made today where I stamped the sprinkles from the Hello Cupcake stamp set. This is the one I made before you joined me. You're going to notice that my greeting was stamped a lot lower, which allowed me space on this side to build my ice cream cone. And of course I used the iridescent sequin assortment to attach those with some fine tip glue. And then of course this one we've got the stamped. Which one do you favor? I really like sparkles, so this one draws my eye, but definitely a fun card to give for a birthday or any other celebration. If you have enjoyed today's video, I would appreciate it if you would give it a like by clicking on the thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.